So recently, I've been working with a client and I've taken them from getting good to okay results on Google Ads all the way through to amazing, fantastic results. And the thing about this is that I didn't actually get these results from hyper optimizing a campaign. I didn't look at negative keywords. They were already in place. Traffic was really good. I didn't look at their ad copy. We've got ongoing ad testing going on anyway. Click-through rates are looking strong. So everything in this very long-standing campaign was consistent and working well. But what did I do to make it even better? Well, quite simply put, I did things outside of the Google Ads interface that become incredibly important in improving your results within the Google Ads interface. Because what I'm going to show you today is 10 things you can do today outside of the Google Ads interface in order to improve your campaigns in Google Ads. Because remember, any improvements you can make to a business's sales will naturally improve Google Ads. If you can convert traffic better, you're going to improve your Google Ads results. So let me walk you through what I did, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have 10 things you can do right now to improve your results on Google Ads without even having to go into the interface. First of all, we talk a lot about competitor analysis. We talk about which competitors bidding on my ads, bidding on my brand name, all that kind of stuff, but we don't actually know what our competitors do with their leads. So one of the first things I did is I went and looked at all of the competitors on the search results page in both organic and paid results, and I pretended to be a customer. Now, by doing this, I got to understand what the competitors were doing well, and maybe some of the things they weren't doing so well that my client was actually doing themselves anyway. But the actual thing that works really well with this is that we realized that, first of all our competitors in our space got back to customers quicker than the client. So straight away, we knew that we had to get back to customers much more quickly, because even if somebody filled in a form on the website, yes, that's a lead. Yes, my campaign might look fantastic to that customer, but if they're not closing those leads, then it means absolutely nothing. So they had to get back to the customer much more quickly. There were also other follow-up courtesy processes that the other competitors had in place as well that my client didn't have in place. So now all of these processes and the speed of getting back to the customer has improved as a result. And the second thing you can do is you can use this exact same process of contacting your competitors as a customer to get pricing and quotes, because this is really important. Most websites, if they're not in the e-commerce space, don't provide pricing up front. You have to contact them, they need to take some details, they need to get an understanding of how much things will cost them to deliver. So I did that, and guess what happened? I found out that my current client was charging way more than the competitors. Now, healthy margins in a business is of course a good thing. Good as long as you're selling, as long as you're actually able to close leads. So if you were to get 10 sales at $100 each, yeah, that sounds great, but what if you got 40 sales at $90 each? It's a no-brainer. Of course you want more sales, even if the margin is a bit lower. And as a result of this, my client was actually able to adjust their pricing much more in line with the market to enable them to get better results on Google Ads, because they were able to close more leads, make more money, and reinvest that money into their leads into Google, because they were closing more sales from the leads they were generating, justifying higher CPA targets in Google Ads. The third thing we did was look at the sales process in the business. How were they capturing leads, and what happened to those leads after they were captured? Well, simply put, you need a CRM system, a customer relationship management platform. Think of things like Zoho or HubSpot or Salesforce and many others out there that basically allow you to capture customer details and set automations and processes, and more importantly, reminders in order to follow up with contacts. So here's an example. Say a customer comes in as a lead form. You contact that customer as soon as you can. They didn't pick the phone up, or maybe you left a voicemail. Now, in a lot of businesses, that kind of ends the process, because all that happens in the meantime is you get a bunch of people coming in through the lead form after that person. You keep contacting these leads and phoning them. A lot of people pick up. But what about that first guy who didn't pick the phone up and you left a voicemail for? They are completely forgotten in a lot of businesses. Instead, what you should be doing is sending automatic emails and follow-ups to those customers, using things like templates to write emails using a CRM system as though they came from you personally, so it looks like they're getting a personal email from yourself as a business owner or as a person working within a business. And that will basically give the customer a touch point even if they didn't pick the phone up. But more importantly, you can actually set a reminder to call that customer back. And that's super important. Say for argument's sake, you call a customer, they don't pick the phone up, you leave a voicemail, they still don't pick the phone up, or even differently, you phone them and they do pick the phone up and they say, call me back next week. How many people call that customer back next week? You'll be so surprised how many few business owners actually call the customer back that next week. There's no reminder set. Of course it's not going to happen. There's so much happening in the meantime between then and now. So it's difficult. Point number 4 ties directly into this process. You need to learn to sell better. The better you can sell, the more leads you can close, the more money you can reinvest into Google, and the more you'll be willing to pay for leads. Have you ever gone onto Google Ads and you start running a campaign, you think your website is perfect, you think everything's brilliant, and you realize, whoa, my traffic costs are crazy. My cost per lead is crazy. And when I try and cap my CPA target, I get hardly any traffic because I can't achieve the target CPA. What's going on in this industry? Well, quite simply put, you can't actually make it work for your business because you're not closing leads at the right rate. Because ultimately, it seems there are other businesses willing to pay that much for a lead, but your business isn't. And the reason your business isn't is because you're not getting as much value out of the customer as other businesses are. So you need to work on your sales processes to close more leads. Now, again, this isn't a sales channel. I'm not necessarily a salesperson. I can sell and I read a lot of books about sales. One of my favorite books on this subject is called The Challenger Sale. A really interesting book, by the way. But what I would say is you just need to start off very simply by recording what you're saying to customers and kind of putting together a loose script as to what a successful call should look like. Make notes on what happens when you talk to customers and track your progress, because ultimately you need to know your lead to sale close ratio. There are so many businesses I speak to, and in fact, as part of my onboarding with my audits, I ask this question directly. How many leads does it take for you to make a sale? And quite often what happens is a lot of businesses have to either go away and work that out, or they outright just don't know what that rate looks like. So you have to go back to the drawing board, understand what this rate is, and that's going to really help you set the direction of how to sell better. Read books on sales, look at videos, look at websites that teach sales techniques and get better at selling. And you might think it's secondary to what you're doing as a business. You might be a plumber, which means that you're doing plumbing as your primary concern for your business. But I've got a secret for you. All businesses are in the game of sales. Get good at sales, you'll make more money. Up next, something a bit more technical that's away from kind of offline, taking it back online. And that is to install something like Microsoft Clarity, which allows you to use heat maps, scroll maps, to kind of understand where people are clicking and interacting on your website. A really important thing to do, because another thing Clarity does is it does live session recording. So you can actually see what people are doing in real time on your website. You can watch videos back of people interacting with your website, and those videos provide invaluable moments to kind of see where people get stuck, why people didn't proceed. I've seen situations where people go onto a pricing page, they stop, and the page freezes, but the reason the page is frozen is because that person has left the viewport and gone onto another tab. So what they're doing is they're comparing pricing between competitors, and that can kind of give you an indication as to the behavior of the customer based on your pricing. There are so many insights and things like that you can find out using a tool like Clarity. And the best thing about Clarity is, of course, it's absolutely free. So I would go ahead and put that on your website right now, because you're going to get tons of insight into how people are interacting with your website and your content. And my next point is tied directly to that heat map data, and that is to be A/B testing your landing pages. You need to basically test how people are interacting with your website, and when you have a situation where you know something's causing an issue, you might want to A/B test that instead of completely switching over to a different landing page, because an A/B test reduces the risk that you can keep consistent results on a page you know has been working for a period of time, and then you can switch over to a new testing page, your B test, and kind of see which one is going to perform the best. Now, A/B testing on Google Ads has changed a lot. There was a scenario where you could basically automatically force Google to rotate ads evenly, and that wouldn't necessarily affect campaign performance. Nowadays, with automation and smart bidding, Google really leans into particular ads as a reliable source of leads. So sometimes when you make that change to force Google to look at certain ads, or you add multiple ads to an ad group, it can throw your campaign off a little bit more because Google has to try and find new avenues to find leads with different ad formats and different ad content. So bear that in mind when A/B testing, that Google Ads as a format for A/B testing isn't the best in terms of splitting your traffic. So if you are going to A/B test in Google Ads, instead of using Google Ads directly, use experiments, because it gives you an opportunity to split traffic more evenly without affecting the default kind of test control performance of your campaign, how it was originally running. Up next, it's a very strange one for a PPC guy to be saying this, but build your brand. Actually build your brand, and how aggressively you should build your brand will depend completely on the type of business that you are. So say for example you're a car repair garage. Basically you've got your brand set and you're just a local business and there's only a finite number of customers and your service is needs based, like car repair. Then building your brand isn't nearly as important as a growing e-commerce business who basically has a wider net for targeting and also has to build a brand reputation because you're selling products that a lot of people also want to sell as well. You need to stand out from the crowd, you need a better brand in order to do that. For the small local business, you can build brand in a number of ways. You can basically start creating content on social media about what you're doing, just show examples of your repairs, for example, as a car service garage, what you're up to, kind of behind the scenes content, building up your brand on social media. But for a performance business, one that's not necessarily about lifestyle or owned by an individual with maybe a couple of staff, one you want to scale to the moon, you need to invest in your brand properly. Bring in a branding expert, a graphical expert, somebody who can basically create a brand that's going to give you the longevity and elevation to take you to the next level. You don't want to be using Fiverr graphic designers or stuff you created yourself when trying to convince people that your brand is going to be taken to the next level. Invest in your brand appropriately because it's going to set you up in the long term to get better results. I've seen situations many times going into the Google Search Console where there are 0 brand searches, but after a lot of brand activity, brand advertising, even branded advertising on Facebook ads, you start to see all the brand activity starting to take place. You can see the graph going up and up and up for the brand name searches on Google Organic where there never used to be. That traffic is all from building a strong brand profile. And of course, that has a knock-on effect on Google Ads as well. If your brand is bigger than a competitor's brand, in an even search results page, if the person recalls your brand, they're going to click your ad more likely than your competitors. So building a brand is crucial. Up next, you need to focus on retention. Retention basically allows you to have even more of an aggressive strategy on Google Ads because the lifetime value of a customer, of a sale, becomes much higher. So going back to the example I gave of a garage, a car service garage, for example, say, for example, they wanted to keep their customers coming back to them as opposed to going and looking elsewhere. They could incentivize customers that if they rebook their next service with them, they get a discount or something like that. Loyalty schemes build up that ability to get people coming back and returning. There are a number of different ways you can bring customers back to your business. That was just one of them, but things like just keeping in touch via email, free value-added content, staying active on social media, all these kind of things. But ultimately, the main thing is incentives are going to be a big part of that, and having some kind of loyalty program or a referral program where people can bring others who haven't worked with you before into your business. Having a real accountable referral scheme can help with this as well. You want to bring up the lifetime value of a customer because on that Google Ads search results page, you can pay more for your traffic than your competitors because you can take more value from the sale than them. And my final point is a bit blunt, but some people need to hear it. Hopefully it's not you, but just be better. There are so many businesses I've worked with over the years that are fantastic. They're brilliant businesses. They just need to adapt their strategy to the digital world, improve their ad content, improve their Google Ads account, improve their digital touch points, and it works really well. There are other businesses I've worked with where basically everything is perfect from a digital point of view. Absolutely brilliant. They've got great landing pages, great campaigns, perfectly structured, working really well. I perform an audit and I've got very little to say, to be honest, because it's set up really well. So what's wrong? Well, their business sucks. They basically have 2-star reviews on Trustpilot from hundreds of customers. What can you do? What's the point? You're not going to get good results if you're doing business like that. If you're not delivering for the customer, driving results for them, making sure that they walk away happy to leave you a testimonial or a review in the long term, it's not going to work. If anything goes wrong in your business and it's a mistake, things happen. Happens all the time. Happens to me. Be accountable, apologize, get things sorted and move on. But there are so many businesses out there who have a churn and burn mentality where they just want to see the money coming in but don't care about retention, which we just talked about. They don't care about that. And if you have a bad product or service, you're fighting an uphill battle that you will eventually lose on Google Ads, because again, it comes to the value you can get from a customer. If you can't get much value from a customer because your brand is awful, your service is awful, and they won't come back to you ever again, and word of mouth spreads before somebody commits with you, they're checking reviews and they see you've got 2 stars out of 5, well, what's the point? Google Ads is not going to work for you. You can't fix a bad business with good ads. So there you have it, guys. That is 10 things you can do right now to improve your Google Ads performance that doesn't involve getting into Google Ads at all. Do these 10 things and I can guarantee you Google Ads will become much more easy for you. If you liked this video, please leave a like below. Let me know in the comments which point is the most interesting to you, something you want to implement today. Let me know in the comments. I reply to pretty much all comments on all of my new videos. Like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the rest of the content across my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.